Hello, this is the chapter 8 synopsis, and this is on talking about recessions. What is a recession? So the typical definition of a recession is 2 quarters of declining real GDP. So remember the last chapter we talked about gross domestic product, GDP. So if real GDP, meaning GDP when you subtract out inflation, if that declines for 2 consecutive quarters, that should say actually consecutive. So 2 consecutive quarters of declining real GDP, we're in a recession. They don't know that until after that happens, but that they will say if they have 2 declining quarters that we're in a recession. So that's the typical definition. The academic definition, or the National Bureau of Economic Research, NBER definition, is this: a significant decline in activity spread across the economy lasting more than a few months. So what is a significant decline in activity spread across the economy? Well, they look at these things. They look at industrial production, they look at employment, the unemployment rate, or the rate of employment, the real income of consumers, and they look at sales at the wholesale and the retail levels. Then they look at something called the 3 Ds: the depth, the duration, and the dispersion. So they look at these variables, and they look at the 3 Ds relating to these variables. So the depth is the magnitude of the decline of 1 or more key variables. Okay. The duration, they usually look for a 6-month trend that goes to the 2 quarters back up here. And then they look at the dispersion. They look at several variables. So they might look at industrial production and retail sales, for example. So the main takeaway when you read this chapter is we've got the common definition up here, 2 declining quarters of GDP. And then we have a little bit more in-depth look of what actually goes on to see if we're really in a recession. And so these are, as you're reading the chapter, just use this as an outline to focus on these items here. Now, a typical recession lasts 12 to 18 months. The Great Recession, which is called the last recession that we had, called the Great Recession, lasted from December 2007 to June of 2009. Just food for thought there. So anyway, and then we also had a recession in 2001, and it lasted till around 2003. But this they're calling this the Great Recession because it was such a significant decline in GDP. Okay, so this again, this is kind of short and sweet. Basically, as I said, just use this as an outline as you're reading the chapter on the recession, chapter 8. Okay, take care. And this is so now if you look on Moodle, you'll have the synopsis for chapters 1 through 8, and this is these are all of the chapters for the first problem set. Take care.